Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the new eye campaign which just launched from Chanel. So here I have both of the eyeshadow palettes, and then I picked up 3 of the new eyeliner shades. This entire collection is now available online. I know the eyeliners were a little bit late to show up, but I checked this morning and they are there. I visited the beauty boutique yesterday so I could see everything in person, and it's beautiful. From what I understand, this is all permanent, so I just wanted to throw that out there so nobody feels any pressure to run out and buy this right away. I don't think any of these pieces are limited edition, which is amazing because the rose gold eyeliner looks incredible. I know that's one of the eyeliners I picked up, and I know as soon as I go through it, I'll want to be able to restock. So of course I'm going to finish my makeup for the day, but first let's go ahead and unbox everything. First, let's begin by unboxing palette 378 Du Soir A Serenity. This one I was on the fence about because I just typically don't wear a lot of purples. I like them, I think they're really pretty, but because I don't get a ton of use out of them, I really don't have a lot of purple palettes in my collection, which was my justification to go ahead and pick up this palette. These shades are a bit muted. It reminds me more of a fall, winter, kind of smoky eyeshadow palette. It's not really summer. So this typically wouldn't speak to me at all, but when I saw it in person, I was really interested. I think because they aren't really vibrant jewel tones, it might make it a bit more wearable. It reminds me a lot of those blurry eyeshadow quads that came out as part of the eye campaign maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They had the blurry mauve, I think there was maybe a gray, blue, green. I didn't pick up any of those eyeshadow palettes because I just don't really like those color stories. There is a bit more diversity with this palette. It looks like these 2 eyeshadows are matte and these 2 have a little luminosity to them. No shimmer, no metallics in this palette, but let's go ahead and swatch it. I'm going to start up in the corner. I built up the swatch a little bit because this is the lightest shade in the palette, but it's this really pretty, kind of dusty purple gray. This would be the perfect transition shade for this palette. It's an interesting color. Using a clean finger, I'm going down right below into this purple. Ooh. Yes, this one does have a little luminosity to it. Pretty decent. Build it up. That's actually really pretty for a purple. I'm never drawn to purples, but that looks really nice. I'm going now into the deeper purple here in the corner. This has a little bit of a brown or a red to it. It's still pretty cool toned. My little pinky finger, I'm going to go up to this kind of gunmetal gray. The texture feels really nice. They feel very smooth, but the swatches look a little bit light, so I don't know how this is going to go on the eye. I'm also looking at these colors and I feel very intimidated because I don't typically wear them, so I have no idea what look I could create with this palette. But I'm excited to play around with it. I do think they look really pretty together. And next I have palette 382, Lumiere et Vibrations. This looks so pretty. Kind of the perfect everyday eyeshadow palette. I had no doubt in my mind I was going to pick this up. It's stunning. This is the warm option. The other palette's cool. This one's warm. It has the beautiful, very yellowy gold, really nice creamy champagne, the bronze, and then a deep shade, which is perfect for the outer V, creating depth, dimension, could be smoky eye, could be an eyeliner if you just want to smudge a little bit of that along the lash line. These are the colors that I typically live in, so I know exactly what to do with this palette. Now this palette looks nearly identical to one of the quads that came out with the Cocoa Codes collection several years ago, and I don't have the palette to compare. I wish I did. I think this one has a lot more warmth. You have more brown in these shades right here, but it also had a very yellow gold. It had a cream, a deep shade, and then I think probably another brown. If I can find a photo, I'll post it so that you can see, but between the 2, I prefer this one anyway. I just think these colors are so flattering. Now this reminds me a lot of summer, but I think it could transition into fall. These are really year-round colors, but I just think the undertones are a little bit more rich, or at least they look that way in the pan. Let's see. So I'm going to start by swatching the very yellow gold. Something about Chanel, I feel like anytime they do gold, it has a ton of yellow in it. Ooh, it's pretty. It almost looks like an antique gold. Next, I'm going into the cream. That is so light. Kind of blends into my arm, but I think it'll be really pretty as a brow highlight, inner corner highlight. Probably also really nice all over the lid as well. This palette has more shimmer to it. Ooh, this shade is so light. I can't tell. I think it has a little luminosity to it. But no shimmer. The gold has shimmer, the cream champagne has shimmer. This one has a little luminosity to it, but it's actually, I don't know, in the pan I can see sheen, and yet on my arm it looks pretty matte. Which I prefer. I'm glad that's a little bit more matte because then that will be a really nice transition shade. Go into this deep chocolate. There we go. That's really pretty. And then the last thing I have here to unbox are the eyeliners. I picked up 54, the rose gold, 48 or antique, and 42 Degree Graphite. There are several really beautiful shades. The khaki was also really nice. There's another green, another blue. I just wanted to go with shades that I knew I would wear, so these are the three most metallic. Ooh, rose gold looks so beautiful. I love that there's a lot of rose in the rose gold. Typically when I see rose gold eyeliners, they're more gold. It's kind of a bronze copper, not really a true rose. But this is really nice. This is number 48 or antique. It's more of a yellow gold. This is going to be really pretty in the waterline. It has a lot of sparkle to it. It's really nice. And the last shade I have is 42 Degree Graphite. This is sort of a deep gunmetal gray. Typically, I like to use these eyeliners in the waterline. You can use them outside of the waterline as well, but I think these three shades in particular will look beautiful in the waterline. The gray will look nice for smoky eyes, and then these two could be used every single day, just to add a little extra glam. I zoomed you in nice and close for the demonstration portion of today's video, so it's time for me to finish my makeup. And what I've decided that I'm going to do, instead of applying one eyeshadow palette on each eye, since one is purple, the other one's brown gold, one's warm, one's cool, I think it will just look kind of crazy overall. I'm just going to finish a complete makeup look using the 382 Lumiere A Vibrations palette. I feel very comfortable and confident using this palette. I know we can create something really nice. And then I want to play around with the purple palette a few times off camera, come up with a really nice look, and then later on next week I'll probably do a get ready with me video where I'll use that palette. I think it'll be more beneficial to you guys. If you really want me to do a first impressions, I can still do that. Let me know down in the comment section. We're still going to do a first impressions today, but we're going to use this palette, the wearable palette. I have a Refer 15 brush, and I am going to go into this shade right here. This gave me a little trouble when I was swatching. Oh wow. A little fallout. I thought it was going to be so light and sheer I would have trouble seeing it on the eye, but actually it's kind of perfect. When there's very little product left on the brush, I'm blending right on top of the crease. I didn't go into the crease with bronzer. I was really making an effort to just use this eyeshadow palette. And even though it does have a slight sheen to it, you can see the sheen in the pan, you can't really see it on the eye. So it's perfect. So now I'm just building it up a little bit because I have to match the other side. You'll have to let me know what you think about this setup as well. I moved a little bit further back. I think the lighting is a bit more flattering, and it's also a bit more natural here. When I sit a lot closer to my ring light, my face looks so bright and almost washes out the entire makeup look. So I'm kind of experimenting with my setup. I want you to be able to see the true colors of products. Of course, that's a lot more helpful. And everything always ends up looking a lot lighter and brighter when I sit further towards the light. Using a flat shader brush, this is an old Chanel concealer brush, I'm going to pick up the golds and I'm going to apply that on the lid. It's pretty. It goes on a little bit sheer. I still really like it, but it's not quite as pigmented as some of the other really creamy metallic eyeshadows like from Pat McGrath Labs or Natasha Denona. This one is just a little bit drier. You can tell the texture is drier, but it's also not quite as opaque. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but just letting you know my observation. It's kind of up to you to decide, because I do think it kind of looks nice for light summer makeup. Before I deepen the outer V, I'm picking up a pencil brush and I'm going into that first shade down here, and I am going to run that beneath the lower lash line. Now I've picked up a Sephora Pro number 19 brush and I'm going into the deeper shade, and I'm going to apply this in the outer V to build up some depth. I like it, I can see it. It seems to be pretty light. With a blank fluffy brush, I'm going to blend out the crease. Same thing on the other side, I'm just building up a little depth. Even though the deepest shade in the palette wasn't quite as dark as I thought it would be, because you look at it and that looks so dark, but then on the eye, this is basically as dark as it gets. I still think you could create smoky looks. I'm going to quickly go back and touch up that golds, kind of blend it into the outer half of the lid. Next, I've picked up a little precision brush and I'm going into this really pretty creamy champagne, and I'm going to pop that on the inner corner of the eye, and I'm going to highlight the brow bone. Even the highlight shade seems to be a bit light. Not really giving me a huge highlight. How funny. It's almost like the cream isn't light enough. I can barely see any highlight. I can see a little shimmer, but it's really not as bright as I thought it was going to be. Let me try the brow bone. The brow bone is better. I think it looks better on the brow than the inner corner. The eyeshadow is now done, and I do think it looks nice. I'm a little bit disappointed with this palette just because I felt like Chanel has been moving in the right direction in terms of their eyeshadow quality, and this almost feels like a half step back. Not a full step, but a half step. The powders are silky smooth, but they're very dry, so they don't really adhere to the lid as well. They blend really nicely, but you just don't get the same color payoff that you do with some of the other eyeshadow brands out there and some of the other Chanel palettes. I'm trying to think, it's been a couple weeks, but I almost feel like I prefer the Intense and the Tender palette to this. I wanted it to be really creamy and really pigmented, like the new Dior eyeshadows, and it's just not really giving that to me. The gold goes on pretty sheer. I could barely see this on the inner corner of the eye. I can see it on the brow bone, and I think it is really flattering, and I think these colors are really nice. But this definitely reminds me of that lighter French style makeup, which we're used to seeing from Chanel, so it should come as no surprise. But I can see why the people who criticize Chanel eyeshadows would not really love this. I picked up number 48, the Or Antique eyeliner, and this is going to go in the waterline. I don't really think I could use this on the outside. I don't really know if you would see it. This is going to be best for the waterline anyway. And it kind of matches since we have that yellowy gold shadow on the lid, and this is sort of a yellowy gold as well. Let's see. Oh, that is so pretty. I wasn't sure if I was going to love it because I was concerned it might be too yellow, but this looks gorgeous in the waterline. It kind of ties the look together. You know what? I'm going to do the rose gold over here, just so we can see what two of them look like. That looks pretty as well. It looks almost burgundy in the waterline. This is a little bit softer. This one looks kind of reddish. But I like it. I think both of them look really flattering with the look. Which do you prefer? Rose gold, yellow gold? I actually prefer the yellow gold. So funny. I thought this would be my favorite. I do really like it, and I think it will look awesome with other makeup looks, but I think with the eyeshadow, the yellow gold looks great. I wasn't sure what eyeliner to use on the top lash line, and I just made a quick management decision. I think this rose gold is going to look really nice on both eyes. I'm just going to smudge it on the top lash line. Again, you have to be so careful with these eyeliners. They're so soft. My favorite shade, Brunagapi, is still there, thank goodness. I probably should have picked up another one. I'm trying to go through some of my other brown eyeliners. But I think a brown eyeliner would also look really nice with this look, and Brunagapi is the most beautiful. I really like the rose gold eyeliner on both eyes. Now that I've finished the top, I think this side looks the best with the rose gold in the top and in the waterline. I still really like the gold eyeliner. The metallic eyeliners are incredible from Chanel. All of the shades are beautiful. The blues, the greens, the gray is going to be gorgeous, the brown. They last a really long time. They're soft enough that you don't really have to drag across the lid. It's kind of a fine balance. You don't want them to be so soft that they're delicate, because then you might break them and it's so frustrating. But if it's too hard, like the Gucci eyeliners, it's a struggle. Whereas these, they're easy to apply. I'm going to finish my mascara off camera, and then I will zoom you in nice and close so you can see the finished eye look. My makeup for the day is now complete. This is the finished look, and overall I think it looks really nice. I love the eyeliners. That is probably my favorite thing from the entire collection. The rose gold is really beautiful. The yellow gold is incredibly flattering. And I just know, even without testing it on the eyes yet, this Degree Graphite is going to be incredible. So the eyeliners, 10 out of 10. The eyeshadow palette is really pretty as well. It's not exactly what I expected. I think the formula is nice. It's not really mind-blowing. The shadows feel really smooth, but they're not really creamy, and the shimmers go on kind of sheer. So the gold looks sort of sheer on the lid. But I think it still came together really nice. I really like this look. It's a bit more everyday. I compared it to the Intense palette, which I also pulled out of my collection, because this launched not that long ago, and I think there are comparisons to be made. Of course, they are different, but they're both neutral. I think if you have this and you're happy with it, you could probably skip this unless you really like the look of that yellowy gold. But I think that's what makes me lean towards this one, actually. I like them both. I think this one is a little bit more flattering in my opinion. Both are great. It's just a first impression. I need to keep playing around with it. Anytime I get a new eyeshadow palette, I will use that palette for at least a couple of days, come up with a few signature looks. That way, whenever I pull it out of the drawer, I know what I'm going to do. This one I think was so easy, and you could do your makeup on autopilot. It was kind of the perfect everyday palette. This one is also really nice. I think I'm just fighting right now what my expectations were of it. You know how much I love Chanel, but I'll always be honest and transparent. I want you guys to be 100% happy with all of your makeup purchases. That's what I want for myself. I certainly want it for you as well, especially if you're gonna make any of your purchases off of my recommendation. So hold off unless it's something that you just really feel drawn to. That completes today's review. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you found it helpful. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything on my face down below in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.